into Before Floor, an extension of 5 on the Floor on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Ethan Skolnick here with you. Tonight's episode sponsored by Prize Picks. Go use the code 5, F-I-V-E. They got the single stack categories right now. It is addicting in a good way. I'm on a really bad run here. I'm kind of like on a heat run, and I don't have COVID to blame. I'm going to try to change my luck tonight. So just go over or under on players, pair them together. You just got to be on different teams. You could literally pair them with Super Bowl players from Sunday if you want. Definitely sign up before Sunday, though, because it's a lot of fun. Use the Prize Picks code 5. Again, it's F-I-V-E to get a bonus. Also, go to 5reasonsports.com. You can get all our T-shirts, including the 2 BAM shirts that are right here. No ceiling, although the Heat certainly have hit a ceiling. And BAM VP. All right, let's get right to it. I think Sylvander might be joining us, too, but I've got Adam Barai, clutch, up there in the left corner. I've got Brady Hawk. The Heat come in tonight 7-14, second game against the Wizards. Today they were talking about how they got to have a shoot-around together, and that was the coolest thing ever because they got to know each other again. Adam, I'm kind of getting to the point that you're at, actually. Like, I don't know, man. I was given this time, but something is off, like, with this team. Like, beyond just personnel, something is off. Like, a team that went to the finals should not be introducing themselves to each other. In your view, what is going on?
It's so confusing. I don't know how to explain it. It feels like this team doesn't know one another and they're still getting to know each other. This doesn't feel like a team that went to the finals, that spent 3 months together in the bubble. It just feels like a team that has no chemistry at all. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few days. Did the trade talks for Harden get to the team? Because we knew that if a deal were to happen, half the team would have been traded. So is that something that is influencing the team and the chemistry issues that they might have? Did Dan Craig leaving really affect the team? Did Jay Crowder and Derek Jones Jr. have this much of an effect? You know, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered.
But usually when players like tune out, it's because they're upset at the front office for something. I don't know that they would have been upset about Jay or DJJ leaving. I mean, DJJ got a better opportunity somewhere else. Jay, I think there was understanding. But the Harden thing, you make a good point, which makes it our fault what's going on with him right now. Sedano was on the pod yesterday, and he talked about the Lakers a couple of years ago and how it got to some of the young players, whether it was Ingram or Ball or Kuzma and some of the others when all the trade talks were going on. So I'm going to bring Brady in here in a second. But, I mean, Greg, is there anything to that? I mean, you heard the pod we did with George. Like, what do you think of that? Oh, I don't know if we have Greg's audio.
No. I'm here. Can you hear me?
No, you're just frozen in place. That's okay. Sort of like the Heat season.
Still frozen?
Figure it out.
No, you're good now. You're good.
While you figure it out. I thought you got that wireless extender. What the hell happened there? This is
I just plugged it in. There you
go. Now you sound better. Go ahead.
So I think that there is something to be said for that those guys were in trade talks and that stuff was real. So anybody who said that Miami was not involved in those talks and that was all BS coming out of this network, I don't think that is actually we're seeing the implications of some of those trade rumors that were very real. But I also think that this fractured locker room stuff should be tailed back a little bit. I think that there's just a little bit of frustration happening right now. This isn't like a team that's about to implode, but it's definitely a roster that is flawed and lacking confidence.
Well, I think one leads to the other, right? I mean, I think you don't have confidence in the guys you're with, then all of a sudden it starts to bleed into a chemistry thing. Brady, Avery Bradley out a month. I mean, I feel like we barely got to know him. Now he's out again. He was part of the 9-man rotation. If Nunn's going to replace him, that means you're playing Nunn and Dragic together off the bench, which is something that they've always tried to avoid. Is there a way around that?
Well, first off, I just want to go back to about the Harden situation and players. I remember Duncan Robinson on a certain podcast. I don't remember if it was his own or JJ Redick saying something to the point that him and Tyler were basically talking about that, being in those trade rumors, just that it's, it gets to them, they see it and they discuss it. So I think that is definitely a thing, that impacts them at least a little bit, as you guys were mentioning. But yeah, I think, Spoelstra just mentioned it, this is Kendrick Nunn's opportunity. He was one of the only guys that played at a high level over this past stretch and they're losing. And then all of a sudden, when guys return, he's the odd man out. So then now, once again, a guy, goes out and he gets plugged in. And if he can continue to play like he did, over that past stretch and they were losing, I think that's going to be pretty big. And against this Washington team, I think they're going to need to score. They don't have, we mentioned they have so many one-way guys on this Heat team that, either defensive or offensive. Adding another guy that's offensive, I think can help them, when they're going through these spurts. As we saw last game against the Wizards, I think he can help them in some times, just scoring the basketball.
Adam, the Kelly Olynyk question at this point, like I said, he has one good game out of every 4.
Out of 10.
It's getting really bad.
Right. I mean, you just keep playing him, and then I guess the other thing is, his contract was potential fodder for a trade, but I also thought he might actually have value to another team, beyond that. Now it seems like Iguodala would be the one that would have value to a contending team, but Olynyk maybe would not. Like, where does he fit right now?
So going into the season, I actually thought he might have value to a team that needed the spacing, but after what we've seen as of recent, just as of late, he's just a guy that you throw in as a package to get to a certain salary number. That's all he is now. He doesn't have any value. At first, I thought he had value. Now, I don't see it. Kelly Olynyk, I don't think he's going to last very long with the Heat. I don't think he makes it past the trade deadline, to be quite honest. I just don't see it, because if there's going to be a piece that you're going to move on from, it's him and his expiring deal. They like Andre Iguodala, and they like what he brings to the table in terms of his playoff, in the playoff and the rotation that would be involved. So Kelly and Kendrick, I just don't see them lasting past the deadline.
Greg, I was doing a segment with our sponsor, Eric Brown. You can find it at 5reasonsrealtor.com. That segment's going to run on Sunday. But he actually threw some questions at me. I'm going to throw one at you. If somebody offered you a first-round pick, and again, it's going to be a good team because a bad team would not need him. If someone offered you a first-round pick for Goran Dragic right now, would you take it?
No.
Adam's nodding.
Oh, come on. Like, that is just completely missing the point of what this build is supposed to be. Like, are we really, is that where we are?
I'm just asking.
We're selling Goran for picks?
No, you're selling a 35-year-old expiring.
Like, that's Jimmy's guy. That's his buddy. Like, do you think that he's just going to be like, oh, okay, we're definitely trying to win by doing that to get a pick?
Who says you can't reroute the pick?
That's just total horse shit, and Jimmy Butler is not going to go for that. Like, just stop it. Just stop with the bullshit transactions about like shipping Goran away. It's just not even viable, in my opinion. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, and you guys can come and find this and play the audio, and I'll look like an idiot. But I don't think Dragic is being moved.
All right, well, let me throw this at you, Brady. Bradley's out now for a month, right? We know that Nunn and Dragic can't really play together. We know that Nunn's value is not what it was before. If Nunn plays well during this stretch, doesn't it make it easier to trade Goran? I mean, sentimental reasons aside, just basketball reasons here. They're duplicative players, are they not?
From a consistent level, I don't think so, because I don't know what Nunn brings you over a long stretch. And you know what Goran brings you. And the point is about, the point has always been to win now. And now you're trading the guy that helps you win now, the veteran on the team. So don't you have to pick a side to trade the young guys or trade the old guys?
People just they're on trade, getting the notification. Like, that's what this is all about. Like, just come to terms with it.
Okay, I'm with you, but let's acknowledge this, and I'll go to Adam on this. Okay. I mean, Goran hasn't looked good the last couple of weeks. Now, this could just be, again, coming back from an injury. Guys got to work through it. Or, I mean, there's going to be a decline at some point, no? I mean, I know I'm baiting you here, but, like, I mean, he's up there in age.
I think, look, I think that Goran will never get moved. Like, that's just not going to happen. But if you take the emotion aside, it makes sense. And that's what I'm trying to say. If somebody offers you a first-round pick and you're the 11th seed right before the deadline, you're an idiot to not make that move. But they're not going to make that move. That's the point. which makes me upset about this front office because they don't make that move. Other organizations do. The Clippers moved off from Tobias Harris, Gallinari,
and the
Shamet,
Clippers,
all guys. And they got picks and they traded for Wall George.
What a storied franchise. They have won so much. I know they've won so much. It's unbelievable. I can't believe how successful they've been. My hat's off to the Clippers. The Clippers are one of the most winning organizations in basketball. I mean, when you look at their championship banners compared to the Heat's banners, it's unbelievable the asset management that's gone on. I mean, hats off to those guys. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. All right,
I am not for this bullshit tonight. No.
I want to let you guys fight, but I do want to ask a legitimate question here. Has the COVID situation been detrimental to the Heat in this sense? They've played some guys who may have had higher value sight unseen. For instance, KZ Okpala, okay? I feel like his value was higher before he started playing. Like, now that he's playing, I think it's pretty obvious. Right? Brady, you're nodding. Like, it's pretty obvious how far he has to go to be a legitimate rotation player, whereas we were treating him like baby Giannis.
Right. That's I mentioned before, I think expectations kind of hurt him because there was no way he was going to come in any circumstance to play to the level that Heat fans expected him to play. That just wasn't going to happen, especially like you just said, baby Giannis, and he never stepped on the court. That's an issue. So I think that did hurt him a bit. I think, there's a look at it as a long-term plan, but it just comes down to how long is long-term.
Adam, what is his peak value? I mean, what is it? I mean, how do teams? I mean, they gave up 3 second-round picks, but nobody else was doing that.
Well, I remember when he got drafted. The night he got drafted, I was talking with some people, and people on Twitter, and they were saying that he was already better than Derrick Jones Jr. And that was something that I found completely blasphemous for a player that hasn't even stepped on the court to be better than one of your rotation pieces, right? And now we look at it today, and Derrick Jones Jr. is still probably a better player than KZ Okpala, right? So the value that he has right now is hope, right? Hope that he can become something later, and that salary is nothing, right? So it's more likely that a team will take a chance on him if necessary, right? He's a guy that sweetens a deal. He's not a guy that you put into a deal and say, okay, let's make this deal centered around KZ. So I think the best answer for right now is to keep him in the system. Don't trade him unless it's for a piece that really changes the trajectory of this team. So I would keep him and hope that he improves just intrinsic from inside the organization.
All right, I got 2 more personnel-related questions, and then we'll just get into tonight's game. I don't want to focus a ton on tonight's game because if they lose this one, there may be no more streams. But Precious Achiuwa, I feel like the opposite has happened there, right? The more he's played, I think he's solidified himself as someone who's consistent, not someone that they trust. What do you think? Like, what is Precious? If KZ is a sweetener, Greg, what is Precious? Or is he just someone you keep at all costs?
No, I don't think you keep him at all costs. I think that he's a good player to have, a good developmental big that, is definitely his trajectory is being a rotation player to a starter. So, if you'd like to keep him around because it looks like he can contribute to a winning team. But if you have to throw him in a deal, he's not a deal breaker to me. He's more valuable than KZ. There's no doubt about that. But the more minutes he gets, obviously, I think that would increase his value. So the less we see of him, that always, depresses the asset when you're talking about a transaction. So
I saw this come in though. I don't mean right. Did the starting lineup come in? Is Dragic starting?
Dragic is starting. So we have Dragic, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, Olynyk again, and Adebayo, inactive Silva and Leonard.
And that might have something to do with the Nunn.
Wait, go ahead. I'm sorry, Brady.
No, my bad. I was just saying that might have something to do with your point about the Nunn Dragic minutes, staggering those a bit.
I was going to suggest that, but I should have said it. But yeah, he's trying to split them up. It's pretty obvious. And maybe you bring Vincent and Nunn off the bench, or maybe it's just Vincent. Maybe it's Strus and Nunn off the bench. That's possible. But you're going with 3 bad defenders again in the starting lineup, right? I mean, Dragic.
And you got to get Hero in there.
Yep. So, yeah. So that's where they're at. And the other thing I wanted to ask here, the Myers-Leonard thing, now that it's done. I mean, Myers won't play another game for the Heat, most likely. $9 million.
What an awful decision. Just disgusting.
Right. Whether you play, but does it make it easier for them to go get a big now? I felt like this, I don't know, this loyalty to Myers that they were going to sort of let the situation play out. Now, at least, can they do anything with that exception?
Hopefully.
Yeah. Which one? The one that they would get from Myers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's $4.5 million. You can pick up somebody, or you can get someone on the buyout market, or somebody that's not being used properly by another team, like Muscala with the Thunder would fit in and do exactly, if not more than what Myers did this season.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean,
it's frustrating because it seems like they are not going to explore that route so far because they have the trade exception. You know, it's like $7 million, just a shy. It's just a shade over $7 million, and they haven't utilized it yet. So they feel like they have enough, but eventually that may run out.
Well, the other point on this that we have enough. Pat Riley's always said Mickey Harrison will spend on a team that he thinks can win a championship. We haven't talked about this much.
This is true.
If this team doesn't look like it's winning a championship, Mickey's not spending those exceptions. He's not. He's going to stay, make sure he's under the tax. I mean, that's just the way it is. And that'll send a signal to the players, too, on whether or not they think that the team is in or not in this year. I would not assume that they're going to go all in, considering I checked Mickey's Carnival stock again today. It's 18, okay? It's not moving. The airline stocks doubled and tripled. Carnival did not, all right? So, I mean, there's still nobody going on cruises. So, I just, to me, that's a question we have to consider. Will they actually use the exceptions? I'm not sure they will. And thanks for following from Sydney, Australia. We appreciate that. Sorry we're a little bit of a downer tonight. Let me throw this out here last minute. Let's go around. Nobody would have said they could have lost the other night. Can they do it again? Greg, are we more positive tonight?
I mean, I'm afraid to be positive right now because people will come at me with swords and shears and they'll call me bad names. But I think there's no way they lose this one. If they lose this one, this is officially it. But they have the guts. They'll get this one. Is Beal out?
He's playing. Shouldn't he be playing?
I think he's playing.
Yeah, he's playing.
But Westbrook is not playing. Right?
Do you guys think I'm happy that they lose? Because that's what it sounds like. The commenters make it think I'm happy whenever they lose. That's not the case at all. I think they should blow out this Wizards team tonight. They're going to be pissed.
I mean, they would, but they haven't blown out anybody this year.
Yeah. If they don't blow this team out tonight, I just don't even know what to say anymore.
Yeah. I do think they win tonight by 20. Brady, you in on them tonight?
Yeah, I think they win. And to your point about like them just having that mindset, I mean, I don't know for sure about, obviously anything about this situation, but them going through shoot around today kind of feels to me like a players thing. Maybe like a guy like Jimmy Butler leading the charge to say, no teams are going through shoot arounds because, you have to get up early and go through the testing and all these protocols and everything. But maybe it's like, we're going to get up early and go through the testing and get in early because we need to get on a win streak. So, obviously I don't know that for sure, but it feels like that may be something. And they're going to need their main guys to be their main guys.
All right. Follow the stream after the game. No pod tonight, so we'll be on after the game. Royal's going to join us there. What is Roy? I know what I say. If I lose, watch the post game and find out. Or Royal's going to be into it. Check out Clutch Corner next Tuesday. We'll have a new pod on Sunday night, but streams over the weekend. Have a good night. We hope. No ceiling. Well, right now there's no floor. The MVP.